Let's learn a little about Purim. So last time I was here, it was actually Hanukkah time, and we spent all the time about being medayek in the Alter Rebbe's words, Dal and Nissen, about Hanukkah. You could have done the same thing with Purim. Dal and Nissen with Purim is also beautiful stuff. Instead of that, let's talk about general things about Purim. Everybody knows what all Chassidish Svarim bring to the Zohar, that Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, is called Yom Kippurim because it's Yom Kippurim. The Yom Kippur that we go nuts about and we prepare so long for it, it's Yom Kippur. Okay, fine, thank you. It's Yom Kippurim. And the Gemara says in Masechta Tainis that when something is described that way, obviously the one that it's leading up to, the Yom Kippurim, it must be greater, the Purim must be greater than even Yom Kippur. So when we're about to enter the days of Purim, our understanding should be, especially according to Chassidish Svarim, according to Kabbalah, Purim has in many ways is deeper and higher even than Yom Kippur. Yom Kippurim. So what are some of the explanations for that? What specialty Purim has over Yom Kippur? So the first answer, the common answer is given, is that on both of them we did Shuvah. On Yom Kippur we did Shuvah, and on Purim, and we regretted becoming friendly with Achashverosh and all the nonsense, and we became back who we are. But the difference is like this. The difference is a lot of times in Yom Kippur, our tshuva is done tshuva me'ira. And by Purim, the tshuva is done me'ava. Realize how great the Eibishter, how many great things the Eibishter does to us. So it's a different type of tshuva, and it's a much deeper type of tshuva. So I once saw a beautiful taich. What is tshuva? Another twist to the words tshuva me'ava, tshuva me'ira. Simple taich is, why am I repenting? Why am I getting better? Because I'm afraid of they say the misnagdim are afraid of the beer and the rah from Gehenna. That's what they're afraid of. That's tshuva me'ira. Tshuva me'ava means I can't believe the Eibishter gives me so much and does so much for me. How can I do this to him? I love the Eibishter so much. But there's a deeper pshat here, tshuva me'ava, tshuva me'ira. Tshuva me'ira means to do tshuva for things that you were afraid of. For whatever reason you were afraid of such nonsense. I gotta do tshuva from those things. And tshuva me'ava means I gotta do tshuva from things that I showed passion, I showed love to do things, I was excited about certain things. Tshuva, turn that around. Make sure that your passion and love is not, we know that tshuva means return. Chassidim used to say, we say every day in davening, ma'anu, mechayenu, mechazdeinu, what are we worth? So Chassidim used to interpret, ma'anu, if you want to know what you're all about, mechayenu. Go look what excites you. That the spring training in Yankees started, or the stocks went up, or I learned the Maimon Chassidus. What gets you going? Ma'anu. You want to know what you're really all about? Mechayenu. See what gives you life. So tshuva me'ava and tshuva me'ira is returning from these nonsenses. Either I'm afraid of something. What are you afraid of? There's no Eibishter develop. What are you afraid? I saw a crazy story. I just I bought the secondhand store bookstore, the Seamus. I like going there because I get the old stuff there. So I found a sefer that the Goyin of Bezdin of Yerushalayim of today, Rabbi Weiss. There's a sefer that somebody wrote his history and who he met, which tzaddikim he met, different Teiros. So he was a period of time. He was a Rav in London. So there's a section there. Believe it or not, there's a section of all the tzaddikim. It says Chassidei Chabad from London. Who we got to know? Who was in London? We all know who was in London. Rabbi Mendel Futterfass, Rabbi Bentzi Shemter, Rabbi Dubov, and You read that that little section. It's only 3, 4, 5 pages, but he appreciates the Chassidish Yunga light. He says he came to the Rebbe for dollars many times, and he writes he was my dollars by the Rebbe Chav Vav Adar Beis, the day before Chav Zayin Adar. He went through. Anyways, so what does he say? A crazy story about Mendel Futafas. Mendel Futafas, forget about what he lived through in his life in Russia. Mendel Futafas had a daughter. I don't know, maybe some of you could be related to them, and I think promoters. And the Liberovs. A daughter married to Liberov, and they had, I think, 9, 10, 11 children, and his daughter passed away in a car accident. And this shattered her husband. And he says he witnessed as Mendel goes over to Rabbi Liberov, his son-in-law, and says, I forgot what his name is. Let's say Mendel. Mendel, halt sich zusammen. This is the Chassidish Junger man. Get yourself together. You're a Chassidish Junger man. What does that mean? The guy never, the whole world collapsed in him. But if a person realizes Yesh Bira L'Bal Bayazu, there's a Eibishter, there's a different outlook. So the first difference between Purim and Yom Kippur is Shubi La Shubi Tata. The Halakha Rishna says, on Purim, on Yom Kippur, the Eibishter only forgives or atones those who do tshuva. But those who don't, gotta wait online. Over here, the halacha shulchan aruch is in Purim. Kol ha-peisha yad meislim lei. The Eibishter is giving everybody. The Eibishter, it says peisha yad, but it says, deserve it or not, you're getting help from the Eibishter. Another difference between Purim and Yom Kippur is on Yom Kippur, the way you celebrate Yom Kippur is you say, Gashmias, wearing a pair of shoes, eating. No, you can't be spiritually, you can't be connected when you're involved with Gashmias. Purim says, Pum Fakert. I'll be Superman Chassidish, and I'll be the real Chassid, and drink, and eat. Dafka are upbringing the whole lofty Chassidish guy, Dafka in Gashmias. Anyways, so I'm saying this to you because Purim is a very special day. The Shemesh Shmuel from Sachachav says, you find a funny pasuk in the Megillah. The pasuk in the Megillah says that Haman was talking to his children, his wife and kids, telling him what's going on, and he says, things are going so well. Rav Banov, Rav Asher, he's saying, I own this stock, I'm making a killing, but the Chol Zeh Einenu Shoiveli, all this is worthless because of Mordechai. So one of the Mefarshim, when we get back to my point, I want to say that there's a point that's a phenomenal point. One of the Mefarshim says, there's a Gemara Masechta Chulin, the Gemara says, Mordechai min HaTorah minayin, and the Gemara says, Morderer. Hama min HaTorah minayin, hamin ha'etz hazois. By Chava, the Adam Adam was told not to eat. Chava spiced it up in a way that he fell. So the words over there are Hamin ha'etz hazois. Hamin. Oh, the 3 letters of Haman. So you see Haman min HaTorah. So the Marsha, everybody asks, come on, because you see the 3 letters, that makes, what's the connection of the personality of Haman to Hamin ha'etz hazois? So one of the Mefarshim says a great thing. He says you find a crazy behavior of a personality like Haman. The man has Roiv Banov, Roiv Ashrei. He's filthy rich. He has a nice big family. He's on top of the world. One little nobody, but one Jew, Mordechai, stecked him in the Eden, bothers him. Where do you see that a personality like this, that he has everything that he wants, but a little Jew bothers him? You want to know where this stems from? Adam. When Adam was created, he had the whole world for himself. He had anything that he was able, everything but this one tree. This tree he can't. When a person has everything but, that one but thing, that mina eitz, you see that the Adam fell. Because Adam fell, that's what caused a personality like Haman to have everything available to him, but yet he can't stand that this guy is not bowing down to him. Who said this? I forgot who it was, whatever. You don't ask me because I always like saying this story. I once heard Bachman tell me that they were in yeshiva in Postville, and the Rosh Yeshiva in Postville is Rabbi Gorkov. He has to be, he needs a refuah shlema. Anyway, Rabbi Gorkov gives a shiur, and the Bachram asked him, okay, very nice svara. Who state the svara? Where is this? He says in the Rosh. In the Rosh. Anyway. Let's go. No, I saw this.
It's a very good right.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go back. So Haman says, Roi Vashroi. So his wife tells him, you know what? We got enough patavan from this Jew. Tomorrow morning, you have to read the words of the Megillah. Emor Lamelech. Go to Achashverosh and tell him so. And then the pasuk says he comes in and he tells him. Who tells a king what to do? The expression of telling doesn't work for him. We can see from how Esther prepared to go into this Shloshis Yomim Laila V'Yoyim V'Ani Laila Kreishel. And here they're telling, just tell your buddy, tell him. So the Shem Shmuel says, based on the Gemara in Megillah, the Gemara in Megillah says that Haman was so powerful, Achashverosh made him more powerful than himself. So Haman could have come to Achashverosh, hey, Your Honor, you do this for me. You hang Mordechai. So Emor Lamelech, says the Shem Shmuel, V'nahapechu. The whole story of Purim turns around. Esther wins, Klal Yisrael wins. We have to know that on the day of Purim, we have this lucky thing that Emor Lamelech. We could talk to the Eibishter and ask and tell the Eibishter, we want this, we need this. So all these, I'm just giving this as an introduction that we shouldn't let a day like Purim go by and hulaling and dancing, very nice, but there has to be some teichen to it. I know in many other places they actually have a Seder Limud learning on Purim. I don't know if we're very into the Mishnah of Smicha. It also says Oira Zu Torah, and according to the Chassam Sofer, the reason why Purim is the only mitzvah that we have, it's split amongst Klal Yisrael. Usually, there's no other mitzvah that some people do it on Tuesday and other people do it on Wednesday. Doesn't make sense. We all do we do it all at the same time. What's Purim? The Rav Klal Yisrael does it on your Dalit. The Mukafes Chayma do it. Why? Why do you make the split? So the Chassam Sofer says, since we have the Shiur of Admul Yada, when a person has a Shiur of Admul Yada, then he can't learn properly. So imagine Klal Yisrael in that state, there's nobody learning. So they have to split it up in such a way, there's always somebody learning. That's the Chassam Sofer. Just remember that. I know there's some Chassidish Kreisen, I think in Kamarna or whatever it is, they have a minute, if you finish the Tillim on Purim. So let's take the day of Purim, let's take it serious. Just like it says by some poskim that the reason why we say Hayom Yom Shabbos Kodesh and the daily Hayom Yom, by saying that you're Mekayim the mitzvah of Zochas Yom Shabbos L'Kachay. Because Zochas Yom Shabbos L'Kachay is not only on Shabbos, Zochas Yom Shabbos L'Kachay all year round. So by saying Hayom Yom Rishon L'Shabbos, Hayom, there were some Gedolim that before they said Shir Shal Yom, they would say L'Shem Yichud Kudsha B'Richu, I'm being Mekayim the mitzvah of Zochas Yom Shabbos L'Kachay. So there were tzaddikim that they actually learned the Masechta Megillah or something about the Megillah every single day to be Mekayim Wachei Timchas Zecher HaMolek. And that's also something that has to be done. Okay, so let's touch upon some of the things you can learn from in the Rebbe's Sichos. We're so lucky with the Lubavitch. There's so much. I don't even know where to begin to speak about what the Rebbe has. Why the Megillah is called Megillah Esther. Why she Why is she the knocker? Is Mordechai what is nothing? And the Rebbe has a chelik tezvav design there. It's so many beautiful, some obvious questions that you must answer. The Rebbe has a question. The mitzvahs of the day of Purim are nothing new. Matanas of Yoinim Tzedakah you have to give every day in a year. Anytime Mishloach Manis is obviously Yisrael, you have to love a Jew every day. Hallel, Kriyas Megillah, you have to, every time something good happens. There's nothing yippee, nothing special. And the Rebbe has a whole Shicha explaining what's special about the mitzvahs of the day that we don't have all year around. Then the Rebbe has a Shicha, where the Rebbe says something unique, that all the mitzvahs of the day of Purim are all starting with a mem. The Rebbe, take it to the Rebbe to make a fuss out of that. Mikra, Megillah, Mishta, Mishloach Manos, Matanas L'Avyonim. What's the significance of the mem? But let's put that down. Let's put it aside. I'm going to stop. I'm just going to repeat some of the nice things in the Megillah, in Halacha, and some of the nice things in the Megillah that is in Avodas Hashem. First of all, it says in Svarim that Amalek's name is mentioned in Tanakh 50 times. Mordechai's name is mentioned in Tanakh 60 times. What's the significance of that? If anybody remembers the Gemara in Brachos, the Gemara in Brachos says that Ashrei, which is not really Ashrei, which is Tehillah l'David, has all the oisias of the Aleph Beis, but starts with Bechol Yoima Bechach Ba'aleph God, right? Beis Gimel Dalet. It only Samach. Samach is missing. Why Samach is missing? Because Nun. Yeah, Nun is missing. What did I say? I said Amalek has 50 and 60, right? So Nun is missing. Why is Nun missing? Because Nun represents Nefilah, falling, and that represents a negative thing. So obviously Nun Amalek, 50 times Amalek is mentioned. That represents Amalek has to be knocked out. Mordechai is Samach, 60 times. It represents Smicha, not ordination. Smicha, he has to be lifted. He has to be supported. Let's talk about some of the psukim in.
Why is Mordechai 60?
60 times mentioned Mordechai. It's almost very difficult to have a Megillah that is possible. For a Megillah to be possible, there has to be missing chunks. I had this problem when I ran a yeshiva because every bacher today, 13, 14-year-old, every bacher is reading Megillahs from Mitzrayim rightfully. Now, if they read the Megillah, there's one pasuk, for example, and the same word is mentioned 3 times in the same pasuk, but every time it's mentioned, it's read different. Im hagoyla, asher haglasa, asher hegla, and each one means different. And if you don't pronounce it the right way, you have to reread it. So you have to really know what you're doing. So then there is the trup, and there is the nekudas. So in the Achronim, there is a discussion if you're allowed to put in the trup or the nekudas in the Megillah. So for the nekudas, it says you shouldn't. But for the trup, I personally paid somebody because I wanted the bacher to know what they're doing. So I had an old Megillah. I paid somebody to put. I have a Megillah that I put in trup. So they should be able to, because that's second best, but at least it's good. But there's so many. There's so many words. I think in Niti Gavriel he makes a page. He has one page, a list of words, which if it's read one way, it's the correct way, and if you mispronounce it, it means completely. V'hama noifel alamita asher asher Allah. V'hama nafal. It's a past tense or future tense or present. And it makes a very, very big difference. So I'll give you one example. This is not an example of how you read it, but this is an example of how to just show you. Charvaina. Charvaina is mentioned twice in the Megillah. Once Charvaina is mentioned in the Megillah with a hey at the end. And once Charvaina is mentioned in the Megillah with the Aleph at the end. So, what's the big deal? I think about it a lot because I had a big fight. We all know anybody who has a Chayim Mushka. How do you spell Mushka? With an Aleph at the end or a Hey at the end? Basya, Basya is different. Genya, whatever. Huh? So the difference is like this. In Hilchos Gittin, there's a cloud that they follow. He said any name that has a aleph at the end, what does it say? Is a shem choil. Any name that has a hey on the end is a shem kodesh. Now it makes sense. Chavoin in the beginning of the Megillah was one of the Sarisa Melech, was one of the busybody, the guys who were hung out with Achashverosh or Haman. He was a nobody. It's a shem kodesh. At the end, when Chavoina, the Gam Chavoina Zachal Atoy, that's Eliyahu Navi. That one is written with a hey. That's a shem kodesh.
That's not in the Megillah.
That's yeah, but we have in the Megillah also Chavoina then. Yeah.
Not the same one?
No, the second one is with a hey. There's so many things I'm missing. The Rebbe speaks about why the Purim is called Purim. Purim is not even part of the mess. Purim is what Haman did. Haman made a lot of it. And we're calling it based on Purim. The Gemara asks, the Mishnah Megillah says that when you're reading the Megillah, what part of the Megillah you have to read? We know we read Kula. We read from Vahibi Mech. What's important for them? You know how hard it's difficult, you guys have kids, Baruch Hashem, I don't have kids at that age anymore. If you want to celebrate the miracle of Purim, first get on the Maisa with Achashverosh, that he had a big celebration, and he had a Zavaisa with Vashti. Get to the point, Balaylahu, another Shnas Melech. So the Rebbe has beautiful sikhs about this, because it's Adarabah, it's all part of the miracle. You have to see the miracle from the tippy top, from the beginning. All right. So let's talk about a couple of more things in the Megillah. It says that when Haman was, this is a lumpish shot from the Rogan show. It says when Haman was carrying around and driving around Mordechai on the horse, so he came home to Klad. He came home Avel v'chafui rosh. Right? How do you translate that? Avel v'chafui rosh. I'm a little terror boy. Avel means he was mourning because his daughter died. He was an Avel. Why did his daughter die? Because she dropped the garbage on him, and she was so hurt and embarrassed what she did that she fell down. She jumped down and she killed herself. And v'chafui rosh. V'chafui rosh means all dirty from the garbage that lands in him. I just want to make sure that I translated. Here it is. Hurried to his house, miserable. His face was covered. He translates of a miserable, but it actually. So the Rogatchover asks, the garbage fell first. So it should have said Chafui Rosh, and then Aval. You need a Rogatchover, these things should bother him. And he said, the Gemara Masechta Baba Kama. The Gemara Masechta Baba Kama speaks about what if you're standing on top of a roof, and you're throwing rocks. So you threw a big rock on the floor, and it was going mamish to break somebody's windshield. But somebody standing outside takes advantage and says, now I could be the macho guy. If the rock is going to fall anyways, he went and he smashed the windshield before the rock did it. Who is chayav? The guy who knocks down and threw it on the rock, or the guy who zetzed it? So the Gemara says over there that the guy who threw the rock that was going directly on the windshield, he's chayav to pay. Because when you throw a rock down, it's ending up there. It's ending up breaking the glass. So the guy who threw the rock down did an act of hezek. He has to pay for that act. Masha'en says the Gemara, what happens? What happens? That's not what happened. What happened if, what was the other case over here? Give me a second. The Gemara Baba Kama. What else? How could be another case? A similar case? No. instead of the rock falling, what else could have you done? Nobody? It was a Mishmaka police, and I saw it quoted about it. What else could have you done?
Someone threw a kidney out the window, and someone smashed it before it hit the ground.
Right. However, if someone throws down a keli out of the window, and before the keli had a chance to land on the ground, you zets it, you're chayav. Why? Well, I want to make sure the Gemara is quoted properly in my notes. Anyway, so he said that's the difference between the garbage falling and sheet falling. The garbage falling down. Wait, I'm messing this up. Give me a second. I'm not embarrassed to say I messed it up. Yechiel, please tell them I don't mess up too often.
First time ever.
If somebody throws a rock onto a keli and someone smashes the keli first, the person who smashes the keli is tired. Because you never actually do the ma'aseh to the keli, the person threw the rock.
What's the story again? I didn't hear
If
it.
someone threw a rock out the window,
Yeah.
on top of the keli is not considered broken until it's broken. So if a person comes and smashes it, that person's tired.
That was the story I said before with the car.
Yeah.
Who's chayav then?
The person who broke the keli, not the person who threw the rock. If someone threw the keli out, if someone smashed it first, the person who threw the keli out is tired because it's anyway going to break. He didn't mind.
So the story I said you said is wrong, right? If I break the windshield, I would be. Oh, here it is. The Gemara said like this: Zara keli mareisha gag. If you throw a keli down from the roof and somebody else breaks the keli, somebody else is putter. Because the keli, as it falls out, is already considered broken. When you throw a keli from upstairs down 2 floors of the stairs, it's considered broken. So you're the mazik. But if you throw a stone from upstairs to fall on a windshield, then evil's zorak even al keli. And somebody sees it and he decides to break the windshield, then that person below is chayav. Vatam mipnei shakeli shalamater like nikra shaver. The keli that's flying out of the second floor, once it leaves your hand, is already considered broken. The windshield is not considered broken until it gets broken. So whoever breaks it is the mazik. That's the Gemara of Abba says that the Bas Shel Haman, when she poured the garbage down, and she realized that was her father, and that's when she jumped. So when she jumps, Haman is already over. When she jumps, the second she jumps, it's like the keli it's dead. She's a dead woman right when she jumps. Haman is over. The shmutzik part only becomes shmutzik when the shmutz lands on him. So that's why it says aval first and then v'chafui rosh. That's why it says first aval v'chafui rosh. That's one shot.
It's interesting because when it comes to, we always say if someone after jumps, they're charata before they land, right? That's what we say.
Yeah. Why?
Halacha, right? If someone takes your life from the sun.
Ma'abadat Mudas.
Then we say halacha the charata. Interesting. According to the Rabbi, the moment they jump, they're already considered a mess.
Now, the name Purim is mentioned 5 times in the Megillah. Twice, it's Mole with a vav. 3 times without a vav. What's the significance of that? Today is what? Today is Yud Aleph, Yud Beis. There's many chassidim that don't say Tachna already from Yud Aleph. Why? Because the Mishnah says the Gil and the Kras, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, Yud Aleph. So the difference is, even if you would be reading the Megillah, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, you're only doing Megillah. Mishlayach Manas and Matanas of Yoinim, you still have to do on the real day of Purim. Uvechein, 3 times Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, Purim is mentioned. It's chaser because it's still missing part of the thing. Some of the items in Purim are still not being done. But twice, Purim is mentioned with the Vav Malay, which is Yudalad and Tezvav. All right, let's go by to, let me see if another thing. I got to get going. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says a beautiful word. He says, why is the halacha that if you forgot to say Al Nissim on Purim, you're not chayzer? What's the reason for that? Sachsidish the Her. He says, listen, imagine a guy is dead hungry, dead thirsty, and he's being chased by goyim, whatever it is, and somebody pulls you into his house, and he saves you, and he feeds you, and he treats you. Okay? And then you got the whole spiel, and next morning you just pick up and leave. You pick up and leave. 10 miles later, you say, I never said thank you. You come back and say thank you. You know how foolish you look? Of course you have to say thank you. But a guy who saved you from such a situation, it doesn't even make sense to leave without the thank you. It's impossible. He says coming back to say thank you after somebody saved you from such a situation is an embarrassment. It's almost pays to continue going. And that's why you don't say, you're not chayzer for Al Nissim on Purim, because after what Eibishter did for you, you got to do it. Okay, I'm going to finish off this word. I'm pushed away, sorry. I saw a geschmack. You know, the Rebbe says, you got to be stubborn. And Mefarshim asks, how did he do it? Why did he do that? It's mysterious nefesh. You're causing, the Yidden were against Mordechai. Why were they against Mordechai? Why are you stacking him? You got to go on a different road to get. So Pirshum Imenu Sanhedrin. Many because that's not the way to do it. So I saw a Geshmaka word today. There's a very famous pasuk in Tehillim. The pasuk in Tehillim says, Ani Shalom, David Melech says, I'm peace. Ani Shalom v'chihema l'melchama v'chiadaber hema l'melchama. Right? Right. Ani Shalom v'chiadaber hema l'melchama. So listen to this word. I'm not going to say who said this, because I'll say it on the way out. Ani Shalom. There's two ways how to portray what's right. You know, in Hilchos Sanhedrin, in Hilchos Dayanis, I teach Dayanis, it's very important. The Dayan, anytime it's a Din Torah, the Gemara says, the first thing you tell the two litigants, what do you want? You want a kapra? We would like to settle by kapra. Right? We don't want to fight. You try to convince a pshara because it's more of shalom. Okay, but there's two ways how to portray or give over what's right. One way is in a peaceful way. What does peace mean? We'll each one bend a little, right? And then there is Yikay Harasadin. No! Nobody's bending. What's right is right. Remember, Futterglass used to say that by the Welt, when the Achosnik Kala get engaged, they have a Tnoyim. By us, it used to be called the Vart. What's the difference? Remember, Futterglass used to say that by the Welt, since the Bacha was a Ben Torah, and he's all cool, and the Chazal say, the Soivitza or the Chayz Dargan. When you get married, you're going down a level because you have to be involved in Gashmis. So how does a bacher who is kol ruchnis, how does he tackle Gashmis? So the Mishnah Shavel says, Tnoyim. Well, let's make deals. Well, you'll give it a little, and I'll give it a little. By Chassidim is stuck in Tnoyim. Vart. The Chassid gives them say, this is my way or the highway. That's it. Anyways, what's the point? So there's two ways how to say what's right. Either in a peaceful way, but peaceful ways, giving it a little, bending a little, ani shalom. But then there is say it as it is. So the pasuk says, ani shalom. Sometimes I act in the way of shalom. Why? What happens if it's shalom? What if it's shalom? Then v'chi. You know, the Chazal say the word ki could be mishtamish b'chamish l'shaynis. A little this, a little this, right? That's bending. V'chi. Ani shalom. When I want to be in the way of shalom, v'chi adaber. I'll speak in the way of ki. Whatever. It could be this way. It could be that way. But Hema, when I do, this is it and that's it. That's Machama. That's the Mordechai la yichra v'lo yishtachva. And he says, Asher yishlatu ha-Yehudim Hema b'seineim. Hema b'seineim means this is the only way. Mordechai la yichra v'lo yishtachva. And no give in, and you come with such stolzkeit. And the Rabbi has another sikha. The Rabbi says, Ish Yehudi hoya b'shushan avira. Very funny. Usually we come with credentials. Ish, the Rebbe says, in Shushan Abira, they didn't even know his name. They didn't know Mordechai. They knew that he's a Ish Yehudi. All the Ish Yehudi are in Shushan Abira. That's the life we have to portray. That's what Purim is all about.